been murdered. All the friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me, as my hopes have flown before. And the bird said nevermore.
You're listening to the Call Podcast with Brandon and Josh.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to a brand new edition of The Call. It is a Baltimore Ravens podcast where we talk anything and everything Baltimore Ravens football. Thank you all for listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast. You kind of faded away there. I didn't hear you.
Overcast.
There you go.
Overcast. There you
All
go.
right.
Got better for you.
Player.fm, Overcast, Google Podcast, Facebook, and YouTube. Well, hey Josh, I don't think there's really anything going on this week, right? Like, we don't really have anything to talk about. You just wanna call this show a dud and move on?
You would think, right? I mean, you would think we have a lot of action to talk about, man.
Guys, Ravens Nation is going nuts right now. Ravens Nation is going crazy. We have a brand new Raven we got to introduce here. Before we get into that, let's just go over the Buccaneers game real quick. Let's just go over that. It was last Thursday. We're recording this on Thursday. It was a week ago. The Ravens looked pretty good. A lot of people were going a little crazy, saying that we were throwing the ball way too much at the beginning, and then that they were running the ball in the second half. They made adjustments, but the Ravens coaching staff after the game said, oh, no, we didn't make adjustments. That was the game plan the entire time. Throw the ball, get their defense tired, and then we were going to run the ball while they were tired in the second half. So whether or not that was a plan or if they adjusted at the half, whatever it was, it worked. Well done, Ravens coaching staff, knowing the Buccaneers team, knowing this game, and the Ravens came out with a win. So no complaints here for Thursday Night Football.
Yeah, I mean, the end result, no complaints, right? You can't really be too upset with a win. Yeah, honestly, the way the game started, dude, abysmal, terrible, atrocious. Insert any word in there you want. They didn't look anywhere close to beating Tampa last Thursday, and at least in the first half, throwing it way too much. And listen, we talked about it leading up to it, right? The whole Ronnie Stanley statement, ground and pound, because this is who we are, identity, running the ball, and looking the formula on Thursday night, with the team making adjustments. Now it's funny, you call out the team for making adjustments, and then they're like, "Oh no, that was the plan all along." I don't know if you smell BS there, Brandon, but it's kind of like really like your game plan was to really throw it 30 to 40 times in the first half. And to the coaching staff's point, the attack was, let's throw it that much because, let's be honest, their Tampa's secondary was depleted, right? So you would think an air attack would be best. Right. In their front line, their front seven was better than their back end, obviously with all the injuries. So you would think the Ravens, you have to credit Ravens, whether they did have that game plan or made adjustments. Who are we to call it and say what it is? But anyway, it wasn't working. Lamar kind of still, carried that hangover from the previous weeks, kind of still looking like, Lamar and the whole offense in that first half just, they looked lost. They didn't look like they wanted to be there. The body language showed it. Then you come out and, it's still a 10-3 game. Both offenses were terrible, and it looked like Tampa was going to get something going. They ran some plays down there, got the touchdown. Dude, I don't know. In the second half, Ravens came out, called the Lamar play off the bat, was a 20-yard plus scamper, had a little spin move in there. Unlike the Bengals game, obviously, years back, but, it kind of jump-started things. And then they got it going. Then, Gus Edwards started running downhill with some steam. And then all of a sudden, Kenyon Drake gets a 40-yard run in the second half. And it was like, whoa. And then it was like night and day. The Ravens flipped the script, rushed the ball for over 200 yards in that half, ended up with over 230 in the game. And Lamar only threw it 8 times, matched his jersey number, but guess what? 100% completion percentage. He completed all 8 passes. 2 of those went for touchdowns. 25% of the passes were completed for touchdowns in the second half. 2 touchdowns total, no turnovers, no fumbles, no interceptions, none of that. And the Ravens poured it on. They got back to the basics, control the clock, ground and pound. They controlled the time possession. It was like the third quarter was like, who's going to emerge? The Ravens sputtered a little bit coming out of the gate. And then it was Tampa. And the way the game was going, it was like, all right, Tampa, you don't want to do anything? Brady, you don't want to get it going? Let's go. And the Ravens finally just put it together. Kudos to Isaiah Likely. Great touchdown catch in the back of the end zone. You've seen Demarcus Robinson getting in the mix. Obviously, we know, going into the game, they're relatively healthy, other than, the banged up injuries with Bateman and Andrews, and then obviously Gus coming out of the game. We understand, there's a shoulder injury with Andrews. Gus left with, I think, the hamstring injury, and then obviously Bateman reaggravated the foot, which is the worst of the situations because he's out a few weeks, as we were told. Andrews might be giving it a go this Monday night, as well as Gus, but you have to feel comfortable with the Ravens' ability to, even though they were down these players, because let's call it what it is, whether it was a passing attack or not, you saw Lamar force-feeding Andrews the ball. I mean, the first play called was, the week prior, the Ravens still won the game with Andrews not catching a single ball. So what the Ravens do right away? They call play right to Mark Andrews. He caught like 2 out of the gate for a little over 30 yards, and then you didn't hear from him again. So, the game plan worked. They got back down to ground and pound, ball control, defense, and ultimately they went. When they were up 11 at 24-13, I looked at my friend. I was like, yo, are we actually leading this game by double digits? Like, are we going to, number one, are we not going to blow the lead this time? And 2, are we, I just can't believe the Ravens put themselves in position. They up 24-13. And at that point, it was game on. But let's talk about how it started, because you had to go what if, right? Right out of gate, Tampa muffs the punt, puts the Ravens first and goal inside the 10. Right out of gate, they can't get it in. What is with this red zone offense, man? I do that almost spelled it a loss right there, because it's like you come away with 3 and okay, they got the lead, and then Tampa goes back down and scores the touchdown, and then they kick the field goal, and it's 10-3. And there were some good play calls in the second half. And kudos to the Ravens of bouncing back. They looked like a team that came alive. They looked re-energized. Lamar looked, his old self, even getting really animated on a holding call with Pat Ricard that cost him a first down. So, the Ravens came out hungry and alive in the second half, and they're kind of like, let's go. The Ravens in the second half and the way Lamar and all the offense played, that's the team that's going to be hard to beat, going down the stretch, especially, with the Ravens getting healthier. And we'll talk about that matchup on Monday night because, we have some additions to talk about. We have some big impact players coming back. In retrospect, the Ravens held on for a 5-point win. Looking at it, was a very good win. It was an important win. It was a great win on Thursday Night Football on the road, against the Tom Brady-led team. We know that Tampa's got their issues there with Tom, being distracted and just not being his Tom self, right? And the Ravens were really blessed to go against a Tom of his lesser self at that point. Lamar versus Brady, he's 2-0 in his career, and it's probably going to end that way. Don't see him playing against Tom Brady or the Ravens playing against Tom Brady for the rest of his career here. So, but yeah, it was a great win on Thursday night, and we hope that kind of play and that formula for success continues in the games ahead in the season, because that's the Ravens right there. That's the identity. Ground and pound, control the clock, imposing your will, wearing down the defenses, and Lamar doing what he does best, and being his most efficient self when he's not, forcing the ball, because it was a totally different quarterback we've seen, right? He was staring down receivers. The throws were low, they weren't on line, and it just I don't know what clicked, but second half, man, they came out gangbusters. And if we see that kind of play and that kind of attitude and that kind of swagger from the Ravens offense, at least going forward, we're back on track. So That's what you hope. You hope you see that, and then what you saw in the first 3 weeks from Lamar on the offense. What you don't want to see is that lull and that inability and inconsistency, down the stretch, and him making boneheaded plays and getting back to his rookie tendencies, and being rattled and not reading blitzes. I mean, the first 3 weeks, on pace for his MVP year, right? He was one of the best quarterbacks, and not the best quarterback against the blitz. Now, in the last few weeks, has not been the case. So Lamar's got to do a way better job than that. And certainly got to call him out. High praise and kudos on that second half, but still got to get into gear and still got a lot of work to do. But we'll see what comes of it. But coming out of it, you have to feel great, of what they were able to accomplish in that second half of football, and it was refreshing, right? Before they got out to a hot start and had to hold the lead in the second half. Brandon, I like this way better. I don't know why. I'd rather it be a closer game in the first half, let them find their footing, and then the second half, let's put it away. All the games prior that they lost this year, where they got out big time ahead, and then kind of second half, they disappeared. I'd rather than spend the first half, keep the game close and then find it. It's a way better formula, I think, and it's a way better game flow. I don't know. I'd rather be close enough, one score away, and then put it on the team and shut them down. But at the end of the day, Ravens are 5-3, sitting alone in first place thanks to the Browns on Monday night. Taking care of the Bengals for us. So the Ravens are sitting alone with one game above 500 right now, or 2 games up 5-3, and they're looking pretty. They're looking real pretty, and as far as the division is sake, you can't be upset about where the position is, because it's theirs to lose. You don't have to rely on help right now, and they're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, I mean, like everything you said about this Thursday night game was good. I want to say Tyler Lindenbaum also had a fantastic game. I thought he looked good. Having that those 3 targets though for Lamar go down. I mean, Gus going down, Rashad Bateman going down, Mark Andrews going down. I think having this team have 11 days off really is a big help for this team, and hopefully we can see that moving forward. Hopefully Gus and Mark aren't going to miss that much time. We know Rashad Bateman, he's going to be out for a little bit, unfortunately. But hopefully the other guys, they've rested for 10 or 11 days. Hopefully we see them on Monday. And hopefully we get some guys back. Tyus Bowser, he's looking like he's ready to make his season debut on Monday against the Saints, and I hope we get to see him. He's a fantastic player. He did great last year. He's a great addition to this team. So I'm very excited to see Tyus Bowser back on Monday. But we're getting a little ahead of ourselves talking about Monday. Let's talk about the trade deadline. The trade deadline came and went. And Josh, any big news from the Ravens on this trade deadline? Did they do anything worthwhile? I mean, is there anybody that's getting the city all kinds of excited now?
Yeah, because they traded for Devonta Adams. Nah, you wish, right? You would think by listening, if Ravens fans had their way, especially on the socials, the Ravens would have traded for all-pro receiver, right? It would have been earth-shattering around here, but no. But I feel like they made a bigger splash. Just as I was discussing, with our group chats, respectively, with my friends here, will the Ravens make a move? Who they might do? Minutes later, breaking news on the Ravens, front on the trade. They trade for Roquan Smith, linebacker from Chicago. They traded for a second and a 5th round pick for next year to bring him into Baltimore. There's been a ton of debate. First and foremost, initial reaction, I freaking love this trade. I love this guy. There's a lot of talk. There's a lot to unpack here, but there was chatter with Roquan Smith days leading up to this trade that, like, and you mentioned it to me too, and showed me the clip with Patrick Wainwright foreshadowing. They were on the bench the previous game talking about Roquan, right? Leading tackles. And then, Jess Reed big tweets out, reply somebody, go get Roquan Smith. And then obviously it's crazy enough, Jimmy Seafood literally tweeted days prior, Roquan Smith, plays like a Raven, and it's kind of like, leading up to the trade, it was like everybody was kind of talking about it and manifesting it. And the Ravens just, boom, made it happen. It's kind of like they were just listening and seeing that. But of course, initial reaction, national media as well. As you know, man, this guy plays like a Raven. If anybody doesn't know about him, he is a linebacker out of Georgia. He's 25, entering his, he's pretty much on his rookie deal. He's entering the prime of his career. He is the NFL's leading tackler this year, and he's the second. He's second in tackles since 2018 when he came in the league. So Roquan, welcome to Baltimore. He's going to be a welcome addition into that, inserted right in the middle of the defense. And, I think, for all the whole wide receiver chatter and all that, let's shelf that because, it's great to get an all-pro receiver, top talent, right? A lot of fans were like, look, Eagles went out and got A.J. Brown for Jalen Hurts. The Dolphins just went out and got Tyreek Hill to complement Jalen Waddle down there. The Raiders got Devonta Adams for Derek Carr. Granted that they all disappeared because Derek Carr and the offense and all that, they got blanked, 24-0 and by the Saints, who are our next opponent, and didn't really look good. And Adams had 1 catch for 3 yards, and Derek Carr had 2 fantasy points, if that tells you anything. So, but the fact remains is everybody was pointing those things out, but like, what about, and then Josh Allen gets Diggs, and, you can think of like, and in the case Patrick Mahomes is on the upper echelon. Like he's our generation's now. Tom Brady's the new guy on the block now, new generation, new blood. He doesn't need that top tier receiver to be good. He's still great. We still got the All Pro and Pro Bowler and future Hall of Famer Travis Kelce. That's another thing. But that was the gripe with fans. It was all these quarterbacks get a shiny new big wide receiver, and where's the Ravens? And when they traded for the linebacker, there was a bunch of excitement, but then you get the chatter was like, yeah, that's great, but are we still going to trade for a receiver? Everybody kept fixating on that. And I'm like, and I get it. And I think what the problem is because we're so starved here in Baltimore with the Ravens' inability to draft one, and we always have to either get one in free agency or sign a free agent that's past their prime. Obviously, Deshaun Jackson was brought in. He's not the DJ Moore that the fans wanted to trade for. He's not, the big guy that's going to kill it and light it up. But, the Ravens bring him in for a reason, and that's been the Ravens staple over all these years, bringing in the guys that are on that back end that can still contribute and hopefully make some plays for us on the field. But, he's not going to be that, big time receiver. No. But, from what I saw on the sidelines with Tampa, I don't know if you saw it, but he was a big cheerleader, big supporter. He had a lot of energy, and I think that's what he brings here. It's kind of like the Mark Ingram effect. No one can replace Mark Ingram in 19, but Mark Ingram had that effect. He was that rah-rah guy, chattering, getting people going. I feel like Deshaun was doing the same thing on the sideline, like really being vocal and animated. And, I think he brings the energy and what we need infused. But, again, in terms of Roquan, bro, I love this trade up and down. And I can't wait to see what he can do. And there's a lot to make of it for the future, right? Because a lot of folks are like, is he a rental? Because remember, Brandon, the Yannick Ngakoue experiment. We traded for Yannick Ngakoue. He ended up parting ways. Going to get a comp pick. There's been a lot of chatter here as in debates is he a rental? Are you giving up a second round pick for a rental for half a season? But we talked about it the other night, and I think that, this is a guy that you keep as a pillar of your defense for years to come. And I think you bring him in just as the Dolphins just did with Bradley Chubb and offer him a long-term 5-year. I mean, Bradley Chubb just got, big, huge contract, 5-year extension. I think it was north of 190 million, or 119 or 190. I can't remember the exact number. I saw it briefly this morning, but we can talk about in the future, but I feel like the Ravens bring him in and offer him a contract in the offseason as a pillar. He's a unique position. He shares something with Lamar. He also doesn't have an agent, which is obviously Lamar's negative in terms of negotiating and going to the table and handling that side of the business. But now the Ravens have on their roster, 2 mega impact players here, and they both don't have agents. So it's going to be very unique come off season how this looks and how the Ravens are going to handle that because they're currently handling in-house now with Lamar. And I'm not going to waver from what I told you. We talked about it the other night getting together, and I said before we get to what Roquan can bring, I think in the offseason, you're offering both Lamar and Roquan a contract, and they're going to be pillars for your team on both sides of the ball for the next year. So I think that's just what you got to do. I mean, Roquan's doing what one other linebacker can do, and he has a statue out front of M&T. It's called Ray Lewis, right? He's doing Ray Lewis things. So that kind of player you want to keep. You're not trading a second round pick for a rental for that kind of player. That guy screams long-term contract. That's my spin on it. And this, at least for this year, it makes everybody around him better, including Patrick Queen. But I think Patrick Queen in the all season, we talked about it. I think he's gone because of this, and given the fact. But who knows? I mean, the all season's a long ways away. We're right now mid-season, heading into week 8. You're going to see Roquan out there. Not only that, but the big addition of Roquan Smith, the Ravens activate not only Tyus Bowser coming off the injury, but David Ojabo is coming back, man. So the guy who was touted to be a first rounder with his injury fell to the Ravens at 55th overall in the second round. Can't really be too mad, right? You get Roquan in a trade. You got Bowser coming back. You got David Ojabo coming back. Hey, defense just got that much better, right? So, and I feel like, you can even maybe throw the Bills game in there, because the Ravens did score points, even though they didn't score a second-hand point in the Bills game. But look, they scored 38 points against the Dolphins. They lost. They were up 20-10 against the Giants. The Giants and the Dolphins' losses were on the defense, I feel. You can make a case like, well, the Ravens only scored 20 points. Well, the Giants game, reaching back a few weeks ago, they didn't cross 100 yards total offense until the third quarter. And the Ravens had a lot of third and longs in that game against the Giants and let the Giants get those first downs. There was a big 3rd and 16, I remember. And the Ravens, Achilles heel on defense has been what? Tackling. And you have the NFL's leading tackler come in and make you better and make everybody else around better. Bro, and getting after the quarterback has always been an issue, right? Pass rusher. So I feel like, yeah, receiver, right? But I feel like, no, I think the defense was the issue. And then with, hopefully with Marcus Williams coming back in the fold, he was the Ravens guy was leading the charge with interceptions and really making impact in the secondary. So, overall, Roquan just oozes awesomeness. He bleeds purple. He plays like a Raven. You heard all the national media, right? This was a perfect fit. It shows that the Ravens, really targeting that Super Bowl run, and they feel like they can get there with this kind of acquisition, shoring up the defense, and from top to bottom now with this defensive roster. Why not? Why not now? And I can't wait to see what Roquan can do Monday night. But dude, this is a great addition for the Ravens. This is again Eric DeCosta's best, right? 2019, he made the trade at this point to get Marcus Peters. Marcus Peters next game, he gets a pick 6 against Seattle, right? Remember that? Then 2 months later, Marcus Peters is here for a long-term contract. Obviously Yannick Ngakoue was the same way, and then he left. Didn't really, there was a mutual thing there. Didn't really like the schemes here. It just wasn't a good fit. But I think Roquan's going to be the second of the third that works out. So, Eric DeCosta, this is 3 years running that he's got, 3 out of the last 4 years that he's got a big trade at the trade deadline for a defensive player who can certainly help the Ravens. So kudos to the Ravens for pulling this off. And, DeCosta's working his magic once again, man. I absolutely love it. What say you, bro?
Yeah, this has been the most active trade deadline in the NFL that I can remember. So it's not just the Ravens that were making trades all over the league. There was a lot of players moving around. I love the fact that this guy is here. Roquan Smith is a insane talent. It's exactly what the Ravens need on defense. The defense, like you said, wasn't getting it done in these games, and you couldn't rely on them. What game was it? Is against the Bills. Against the Bills, we knew that the Bills were just going to tromp right down that field, and they sure did at the end of that game, and that's how the Ravens were able to lose it. The Ravens aren't a bad team, not whatsoever, but there always felt like there was just some piece missing. And I think Roquan Smith is going to be that puzzle piece to make us complete. And you're going to have to be complete going into the playoffs, because at some point, you're going to be facing the Bills or the Chiefs or the Dolphins. All 3 of those teams look really legit right now, and the Ravens have struggled to finish out games. You're going to have to play a full 60 minutes. I think now with Roquan Smith here, you're going to take some of that pressure off of Patrick Queen. You're going to be taking some of that pressure off of a Odafe Oweh. hopefully, Calais Campbell, who is on defense, but he's an older guy, take some of the pressure off his shoulders. It's this guy's coming in, and he's going to be a game changer. He's going to be a difference maker, big time. So I can't wait to see what happens this season. Now the off season's another story. Very intrigued to see what's going to happen this off season. The Ravens have one franchise tag. Are you going to use it to keep Roquan Smith? Is he a rental? Are you going to use that franchise tag on Lamar Jackson? Are you going to pay Lamar Jackson? Can you pay both of these guys now? What does that mean for Patrick Queen, like you brought up? There's a good chance that he's probably gone after this season. What does this mean for Odafe Owe moving forward? Like, this guy coming in is a long-term game changer if he sticks around. But that's all stuff that we can talk about in the offseason because the Ravens have a Super Bowl to win until then. So let's look at it week by week. I can't wait to see this guy on Monday. Roquan Smith, he will be wearing number 18, so definitely look for number 18 out there on the field. But this is a huge, huge get for the Ravens. And I think a lot of people were saying, like, after that Bucs loss to the Ravens, of course, everyone was talking about Tom Brady and barely giving any kudos to the Ravens. But I think people are kind of like, all right, this team was kind of uncertain of what they were going to be moving forward. Are they good? Can they finish out games? They were able to beat Tom Brady. They were able to beat the Bucs, and I think people are like, okay, all right, these guys moving forward. We're halfway through the season at this point. These guys are looking good. Now that you bring in Roquan Smith, Ravens aren't just looking good, they're looking scary. So I can't wait to see what this guy brings to the table. I can't wait to see what he does to this defense. This is going to be huge. So unfortunately, the only bad thing is now we have to wait an extra day to see Roquan Smith and the Ravens, but we do get to see him make his debut under the bright lights, under the home of Super Bowl 47, where the Ravens won, up against New Orleans. And we unfortunately aren't going to see Mark Ingram. He's injured. He talked about that on Up and Adams earlier this week, that he will be in attendance, but he will not be on the field. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing for the Ravens, because like you said, he's a rah-rah guy. Is he going to get the New Orleans Saints all riled up, saying, this is my former team, you got to beat them for me? Or is he going to go to, like, the Ravens hotel and, like, pull the fire alarm out the night before? But we'll see.
Let's have had no shenanigans, man. It's already a voodoo city. We don't need any more voodoo.
That's right.
No, but I mean, what we have to worry about is Alvin Kamara on the other side.
Sure.
I'm not worried about Mark Ingram. I'm worried about Alvin Kamara. He just posted, I think, 3 touchdowns last Sunday.
That's right.
I mean, he looks good. He look good. Look great. That's where it starts and ends with the Saints is Alvin Kamara, 41 on their side. I mean, what you don't need to say anymore. He is their best asset, their best weapon, and when he's firing all cylinders, New Orleans is going to be tough to beat. They are rolling with Andy Dalton as opposed to healthy Jameis Winston, which is, hey, it's their call. Obviously, if I was the Saints, I would go probably with Winston, but and looking what they just did accomplish. I mean, you had to feel like 2 weeks ago, not even. On a Thursday night game against Cardinals, Dalton throws back-to-back pick sixes, and they lose to the Cards. Then they go out and go at 24-0 shutout against the Raiders, which is just insane. So you really have to understand that the Ravens can shut down Alvin Kamara. They have their chances go skyrocketing to win this game. I mean, now if Alvin Kamara runs amok, this is going to be a back and forth game. It's going to be a closer game. Might even, definitely be in the Saints' favor, obviously. So now I feel like with those defensive additions, Roquan coming in, Bowser coming back from injury, and then Ojabo being activated, and hopefully he'll play Monday. I think Bowser of those two coming off the injuries. Ojabo has first practice this full. So signs are pointing to him playing, but I haven't really heard it officially. But a lot of the speak out there coming from the Ravens is Bowser's ready to go. I'm hoping to see David Ojabo. Who knows? Maybe they might warm him up this week, given the Ravens have 2 weeks off after this Monday night game, and then bring him for the home game against the Panthers. I don't know, which would be awesome to see, but maybe you can get him out there and get a few snaps and get him used to it. But, do you want to rush him out there when he's not really needed? I mean, it's great, right? Let's say we don't need a David job out there. Who wouldn't? But looking at the scheme, the Ravens, if they hold true to their game plan and not try to match what New Orleans is doing and try to stick within what they know and their bread and butter and let everybody do their job and go to work, I think the Ravens can certainly come out of New Orleans with a victory, go to 6-3. This would be huge for the setting up the second half of the season. Could you imagine the Ravens putting together a 3-game winning streak, going on a bye, being 6-3, coming to the stretch where now they can go into the meat of their, division schedule. I was going to say schedule. I'm thinking they play 4 division games left. They are 2-0 in the division. Dude, it all sets up. And for to be showcased on a second primetime game in a row, standalone game, everybody's going to be watching. We know Lamar's in the spotlight for being not only criticized but praised because obviously he's dynamic and he's an athlete. So, and having a new Raven being showcased, Roquan Smith, the Ravens being showcased, and they come out on 2 consecutive, primetime games and their third and final one for this year, depending on any scheduling to be determined. I think the Ravens can certainly show everybody, and especially put the AFC on notice saying, hey, listen, you can talk about the Titans, you can talk about the Bills, the Chiefs, all you want, maybe even the Dolphins, and high praise for what they're doing, bringing in players and doing what they're doing offensively. But listen, the Ravens are in that conversation. Right now, we don't like to look at playoff standings, but they're the 4th seed in through 7 weeks in the AFC right now, and they're a division leader. And the Ravens can certainly kind of build upon that and stack wins. And you hear the team talking about all the time, it's stack season, right? And right now, it's time to stack the plates, lift heavy, and go to work. And what better way to do it on a Monday night showing, to end week 8 in style and get to the bye week, or actually week 9, I should say. So, the Ravens have played 8 games there. So I'm certainly excited for everybody. And I'm certainly excited just to see, what the Ravens defense looks like. We already know what the offense can do. And if they stick to that run game, we'll see. Now, the health of Gus Edwards, we're going to monitor that as through the weekend. Me and you were talking pre-show. The injury report has not been released as of yet, or at least nor have I seen it. I'm still waiting, very anxiously to see who's been limited, who's been held out. You give Lamar some credit and give the offense some credit. They can get it done with a lesser cast. Now, some name we're not going to talk about. We're going to see DeSean Jackson debut on Monday night for the Ravens. Look. He's not. He's a name. He's brought in. He's 35. The Ravens, of course, are like, oh, he looks good in practice, and from the footage we see it, right? It's not official game speed. He played last year in week 12 when he had remember the Thanksgiving game? He came out game busters against Cowboys, had that long touchdown, and I think that's the last time we saw DeSean. I can't remember, but that highlight certainly comes to mind. But he was on the free agent market for a reason. He wasn't on a team active, and they had to trade for him to pluck him off that team. He was just chilling. So, but hey, does he? Something's better than nothing. And does he help out the Ravens? Yes. Is it the answer to the end all be all? No. But hey, looking forward to it and see what he can do. Just like bringing in Le'Veon Bell or Dez Bryant. Great. It's great to get these guys in here, being in a Ravens uniform. But hopefully they make some plays. And I've always liked DeSean. He's a dynamic football player. He's been his whole career for Philly and everywhere he's been. But being on the back end in his mid-30s, mid-30s is young for, a normal adult, right? 35 is young. But in terms of, athletes in football, 35 is old, especially for an NFL receiver. So, let's hope we can see what he can do, but I'm not counting on anything special, but hopefully DeSean and the Ravens let me eat my words. I gladly devour them. If he comes out with like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns on Monday Night Football, I'll be like, oh, okay, DeSean, okay, you must have heard me. But, again, not looking for anything outrageous, but I am looking forward to a great football game. Looking forward to see these impact players make plays for the Ravens. And hey, they put that formula together from Tampa and from what they've done this year in these wins. I mean, they've had double-digit leads in every game, and they're 5-3. They could be this or they could be that. They're not. They are 5-3, and that's what they are. And their next opponent's New Orleans on Monday Night Football, and I certainly think they can get it done. Now I think they're going to get it done at a 28-17 win in New Orleans, and I think they're going to hold serve and hold to a 6-3 record heading into the bye week. And hey, relatively healthy. Let's hope that there's no major injuries down there on the artificial turf, because that's been a topic of discussion this year in the NFL. It's turf versus grass, and the Ravens used to have that. Now they went to grass, which is great. Football played on such, but let's hope the knock on wood, no injuries for the Ravens and big game time impact players, and let's all get healthy for the stretch run. How about it?
That sounds good. I want the Ravens to go into the bye week that they have coming up with a win on Monday night against New Orleans. I'm going to say the Ravens are going to win, let's say 31-17. I think 31-17. That should work out.
I think 3 more points than my score here.
That's right. Yeah, I'm giving Tucker a little bit extra to do on Monday night.
So if it's like 29 or 30-17, that'd be pretty. Who won? Yeah, you would probably win close to 31.
Yeah, because it went over your score, so I would have to win.
It's like Price is Right, closest without going over.
Exactly.
$1, Bob. $1. Or now it's through. But you do have to feel good with the Ravens setting themselves up position right now. Division leader, right in the thick of things at AFC. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, yeah, we can go back and woulda, shoulda won these losses all day. If the Ravens they could be one of the top dogs. Hey, we always say if the season, we're at the end of the day, right? If. But hey, if the season stopped right now, the Ravens would have a home playoff game in the 4th seed in the AFC playoffs. You have to be excited about that. And if they keep stacking, hey, the sky's the limit and see where they fall at the end of the year. But I'm certainly excited for, the Ravens. Roquan, the Bowser, Jabo. Can't wait to see what these guys can do. But hey, Deshaun, make some plays and let's ball. I'm certainly excited, and let's hope that we see a more fiery team, a team that can attack on the ground, a team that can be disciplined, and keeping the turnovers to minimum, not at all like they've been doing, and really showing everybody and showcasing what they can do, especially Monday night and down in New Orleans. Man, I can't wait for all those making the trip. Be safe. I know some folks I know are making the trip, so I'm certainly excited for them. Speaking of that, reaching back down to. I got a funny story to tell you about, or a fun story, not funny, fun story to tell you about the Thursday night game.
Okay.
So a couple friends of mine made the trip. I couldn't go to Tampa, but they made the trip. They did the whole trip and all that. So after the game, they got a picture with Eric DeCosta, right?
All right.
Awesome. Yeah, got that. I was like, hey, man, Ravens GM. All right. So Lacey DeCosta, obviously Eric's wife, she's very active on Twitter with the fans. And, so I was like, hey, they got the picture with Eric. So I tweeted at her, said, hey, my friends made down the trip down to Tampa. Look who they ran into. She actually responded, tweeted at me, oh, that's my best friend. And then literally moments later, she ended up following me on Twitter, which was pretty cool.
Oh, very awesome.
They're the Ravens' first lady. So shout out to Lacey. She's awesome. So, always interacting with the fans and putting her positivity out there. We love her. And, said her husband's doing big things, man. Bringing in the big Roquan Smith, man, huge, and I can't wait to see what his impact is. And it reminds me of again, he's compared to Ray statistically and all that, but looking back 10 years ago for the 2012 Super Bowl run, Ray had 51 tackles in that Super Bowl run, led the team. 51. He came out of the gangbusters, and when I think he led the team to like 13 or 15 tackles in that Colts game alone. And I'm like, Ray turned out the clock that game. And he was busting through the line, tackling running backs for losses, and I don't think folks are ready to really understand the impact that Roquan would have on this defense. He's going to allow the other linebackers to free roam. I mean, he's the leading tackler. I mean, Ravens are on the sidelines talking about it days leading up to this trade. This is impressive. If you'd have told me that the Ravens had opportunity, look, I'm a defensive guy all day long. And if you'd have told me if the Ravens had to pick between trading for an all-pro receiver or trading for the NFL's leading tackler this year, I'd take the leading tackler all day long.
Right.
Because the end of the day,
defense wins. Exactly.
Yes. You know it. So you see where I was going with that. So getting back to that, and I felt like, especially in the Giants game when they got some of those long plays and for the first downs, and not even just the Giants game, but some of these other games that we've been involved in, right? The Ravens' Achilles heels, these like ding and dong screen passes, and they can't tackle open field. You put Roquan in the middle, you're going to have to respect it now, and it's going to make everybody around him better, and I can't wait to see what happens.
Should be a good one. I can't wait. Monday night, we got to wait just a little bit longer to see what's going to happen. Monday Night Football, under the lights, prime time, baby. So, Josh, have we covered everything for this episode of The Call?
I would say, before I got out of here and say, quote the Raven, never murmur, as I usually do, we had a fun week. I'm going to recap that, man.
It's been a fantastic week. It really has. It's been a lot of fun.
There's some special moments. For all those who don't know, obviously me and Brandon are big wrestling fans.
Big time.
We're big time Jimmy Seafood fans, right?
Big time. Yeah.
Big time. And this is me and Brandon's third day in a row interacting and hanging out. So we got on pre-show and I was like, you sick of me yet? This is 3 times in a row this week, Tuesday to Thursday. I don't know if he can handle it anymore. He's going to need a break. That's why he needs a bye week after this week. Brandon's like, I'm done. So real quick, recap. We did an AEW event this week 2 times. We double dips. Jimmy Seafood and the Crab Feast. We did a Crab Feast to benefit the Hofburger Breast Center down at Mercy, Baltimore. It was great. What a great time for a great cause, man. That's certainly a cause that's near dear to me personally. And, just the way it was done, up and down, top notch. Jimmy Seafood and John did a masterful job putting that event together. Thank you for all the AEW stars coming out. It was a great time, great cause. And, dude, we had a blast, enjoying some good food for Jimmy's and, interacting with the wrestlers. And I finally did it. Even though she's a Steelers fan, I finally got to meet the Dr. Britt Baker, which was awesome.
DMD.
And I told you, Steelers suck, as I told you. So real quick, obviously, I got to put the pictures out there yet. I've been slacking. Once I shore up with my work schedule and everything, we'll get to it. I'm going to put the pictures out there. But 2 things real quick. You egged me on to do the promo. Did you put that out there on the call at all? The promo that I did?
I can if you want. It's on YouTube right now.
Why not? So apparently they had a contest for a promo. It was awesome. For all those who don't know wrestling, obviously they cut a lot of promos and do that. And I had 15 or 20 seconds to ad-lib a promo for a contest and be judged doing it. Hey, it was pretty cool. But, there was a kid up there that, he was wearing Bengal stuff. Bless him. Hey, still good rivalry. But, he did a great job. And he ultimately won the hearts of the judges and the wrestlers there and the stars. And, and he did a masterful job leading it off in the promo. Hey, dude, it was awesome. Awesome to be a part of it. But, Brandon egged me on. He's like, you do it. He was tapping me show. And I'm like, all right. I got up there and did a little promo. So let me all know what you thought. I thought it was a little fun thing to do. And not only that, but, meeting Britt Baker was awesome, I followed her from the beginning, and she's a Steelers fan for all those who don't know. And she has that infamous Britsburg, that she always says, and she's coined. But, I did, real quick at the end, John asked me, he's like, did you talk to her about any Steelers stuff? I was like, nah, I didn't really go there. Right. And I was like, yeah, why not? So me and you were at the end of the event. She was standing by the bar, right? I was like, I got to talk to her, right? So I go up to her. I was like, hey, Britt, thanks for coming out. She's like, oh, you're welcome. I said, hey, by the way, next time you're in Baltimore, if you ever want to go to a Ravens game, I have season tickets. So I'm your ticket in. She looks at me, Brandon. She's like, no. She gets a scowl on her face. She's like, no, I don't think so. No, that's okay. I was like, yeah, it was great. So I tried to shoot my shot and ask Britt to a football game with me. It didn't work. I even told her, I said, Ravens Steelers, New Year's Day. So I was like, couldn't get it, but it's all good. But it was a fun event. Thank you for all who were a part of that. Me and you had fun. And then we attended Dynamite Wednesday night down in Baltimore. And, hey, Lamar was there with a few of his players. And looked like you said Gus Edwards may have joined him.
It was Tyler Huntley.
Tyler Huntley was there. And, hey, Rick Ross, infamous hip-hop artist, Rick Ross was there, the boss, Rick Ross. So he's one of my favorite artists, and he was there, and he cut his own promo apparently backstage with AEW that I found out because we're like, why is Rick Ross there? Hey, it was great. It was like random. Like Rick Ross is there, and then like 20 minutes later, like here comes Lamar and his entourage because the crowd was chanting MVP, and it was great. So hey, the last time we did AEW, the Ravens were there with Harbaugh and Marlon, and they attended their first wrestling event, and I know it was hard because remember the facial expressions, when they were doing their thing. So, AEW again, 2 great nights, having fun and just getting the party going. And hey, how about let's keep the whole thing going to Monday night down in New Orleans, in the city where we won our second one, and how about getting the 6th win? It might not be a Super Bowl championship down there this time, but how about it? Let's get number 6 in the year and take a 6-3 record into the bye week. How shall we?
Yeah, and we got to say, Lamar Jackson, he not only attended the event, he was also threatened by Chris Jericho.
That's been a big topic of discussion this week already.
Yeah, which was a lot of fun to see, but it was really funny because Lamar came out during Jon Moxley's match, and Jon Moxley, if you're not an AEW fan, he's the world champion. So kind of a big deal to see the world champion wrestling on television. In the middle of the match, there's an MVP chant that goes on, and the commentators actually had to make a comment of, Lamar Jackson from the Baltimore Ravens just entered the arena. That's why the fans are screaming MVP. So it was very obvious that something was going on in the crowd, and they had to acknowledge that Lamar was there. But then Chris Jericho is doing a promo in the ring, and right now his gimmick is he's called The Ocho because he's an 8-time world champion. And he brought up the fact that Lamar Jackson was there, and he threatened him. He's like, I'll even take out Lamar Jackson. And they zoomed in on Lamar. Lamar looked a little worried. He was kind of biting his fingernails. He was a little scared to be there and get threatened by Chris Jericho. But it was a lot of fun. I'm happy Lamar was there. I'm happy the Ravens were represented in Baltimore. AEW always puts on a great show when they come to Baltimore. They've been here for a pay-per-view in 2019. They've had Dynamite and Rampage last May that we got to attend, and now they're here again for Dynamite as well. So fantastic shows put on by AEW. The Jimmy's event, I mean, I told John when we went there on Tuesday to Jimmy's to their crab feast with AEW, I was like, you guys knock it out of the park every single time. It's crazy at how good you are at putting on events. So it was a blast. Justin Schlegel, a fantastic host of the crab feast as well. Got to give credit to him. Absolutely knocked it out of the park. It was perfect. But it was a great week. It's been a great week for fandom, great week for wrestling. Hopefully the Ravens can keep it going on Monday and make it a great week for Ravens fans as well. So, Josh, do it. Is this it for the show?
Well, without cutting a promo for it, quote the Raven, nevermore.
All right, guys. Well, if you want to continue the conversation with Josh or I, you can go over to our Discord server, discord.gg/thecallpodcast. Make sure you join our server, and you can talk all things at our tailgate talk or your flock feast or our game day chat. And with the bye week coming up, Josh and I have something special planned, so you'll make sure to join our Discord because it will be exclusive content to just our Discord server. So definitely go over and join Discord. Go over to our Facebook page, facebook.com/thecallpodcast. Like us over there. Whenever a new show comes out, you'll be the first to know. And if you were following us on Facebook, you would have been the first to know that Lamar Jackson was in attendance at the AEW show. We spotted him immediately, and we got that picture out there before he made it out on TV. So if you would have been following us on Facebook, you would have known as well. Now, we do this show for free. You listen, stream, and download for free on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Player.fm, Overcast, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. All we ask in return is for you to please spread the word about the show. Write us an Apple Podcast review, rate us over on Spotify, and then let people know on Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and Pinterest and Instagram and Reddit and Snapchat and Twitch and TikTok and Discord, anywhere you're social on the web or with your phone. Say, I'm a Baltimore Ravens fan. I listen to The Call, and you should too. So that is pretty much it for the show this week. Josh, take us out. Get us ready Monday night. Take us out the way you always do.
Ready for Monday Night Football. Yeah, man. I can't wait, brother. I always love it when the Ravens are prime time. I'm one of the minors on that one. You know, I love primetime games. I love under the lights, whether it's indoors or not. I just love it when the team's showcased. You know, I love it, man. It gets you energized. You know, you wait all day. The whole thing is right. You wait all day for Sunday Night Football, and then now you got to wait an extra day for Monday night. And then the short weeks, obviously, everybody hates them. I mean, hey, Thursday night was fun, but I don't like the short weeks. You know, Monday night's awesome, and I can't wait to see what the Ravens can bring to New Orleans in this team. You know, we talked about all the acquisitions, all the additions coming back, the hype, players, you know, going to make an impact, and it's all going to come down to this game. You know, we can look past all we want. There's a bye week ahead, but it all comes down to Monday football, and I can't wait to get it started and party down in New Orleans. And dude, it's just going to be an awesome time watching the Ravens do what they do in primetime football. So let's get after it. How about it, everybody? Ravens flock, all in unison. Are you with me? Monday Night Football down in the Crescent City, where it all came to a head with Super Bowl 47 10 years ago. We had the reunion this year in Baltimore with the team, but how about it? Let's go for a new beginnings in the Ravens, and let's go for marching for number 3. Ravens flock down in New Orleans. Let's fly high this Monday night.
This has been a production of Brando Cash Entertainment. Music by Brad Lepore and Daniel Kelly from the DBK Studio. For more information, go to brandocash.com.